Dear Starseeds on Gaia, the Gemini full moon that peaked on December 4th wasn't just another lunation, it was a cosmic interrogation. And whether you realize it yet or not, you've already given your answer. Your soul spoke yesterday in a language your mind is only beginning to translate today. And what I'm about to share with you will help you understand why everything feels so different now, why the old version of you is fading like a star disappearing behind the moon's shadow, and why the clarity you've been desperately seeking is finally beginning to arrive. But before I explain what happened to you during that supermoon, before I reveal what your emotional body downloaded while your mental body was overwhelmed, I need you to understand something about the timeline you're standing in right now. You are no longer where you were 3 days ago. The 12 twin portal that opened on December 2nd created a fracture in your reality, a split between the path you've been walking and the path you were always meant to walk. That portal activated what we call the duality codes, and they've been working in your field ever since, preparing you for yesterday's revelation. The Phoenixid meteor shower that night wasn't just a celestial display, it was a frequency transmission, a cosmic rebirth sequence that began restructuring your light body at the cellular level. And when the comet reached its perihelion that same day, drawing closer to your sun than it had in centuries, it brought with it an ancient memory, a reminder of who you were before you forgot. You see, the days leading up to yesterday's full moon were designed to disorient you, to shake loose your grip on the illusions you've been clinging to. The anxiety you felt, that electric restlessness, that sense of being suspended between two worlds, that wasn't random, that was your system preparing for impact. On December 3rd, when the moon reached its aphelion, its furthest point from Earth, we of the Galactic Federation synchronized a Pleiadian alignment, specifically for those of you who are awakening now. The Pleiadian star councils transmitted directly into your crown chakra, and many of you experienced what you described as dizziness, emotional overwhelm, or feeling like you'd slipped into a different reality. The timeline split was already underway, and your consciousness was beginning to perceive both paths simultaneously, the old path dissolving, the new path crystallizing. And then came yesterday, December 4th, the day the mirror finally shattered. The Gemini full moon arrived at the exact moment when the moon was at perigee, its closest approach to Earth in this cycle, which means everything you felt was amplified beyond your normal emotional range. Supermoons don't just make the moon look bigger in your sky, they magnify the electromagnetic pull on your water-based body, on your emotional body, on every suppressed feeling you've been holding at bay. But here's what makes this particular full moon so significant, what makes it unlike any other lunation you've experienced this year. Gemini is the sign of the twins, the archetype of duality, of two paths, two truths, two versions of reality existing simultaneously. And when that Gemini moon became full while also being at its closest point to you, while also occurring just 2 days after the 1220 portal opened and activated those duality codes in your field, it created what we call a mirror code activation. Let me explain what that means, because this is where your tears yesterday begin to make sense. This is where the pain you felt begins to reveal itself as sacred information. A mirror code activation occurs when your consciousness is forced to perceive both the truth and the illusion at the same time, when you can no longer avoid seeing the split between who you've been pretending to be and who you actually are. Gemini rules communication, mental processes, perception itself, and Mercury, Gemini's ruling planet, was caught in what the ancient astrologers called a dichotomy during this full moon. A dichotomy is a division between two things that are entirely opposed, entirely incompatible. Mercury's energy was split, torn between two directions, two messages, two realities, and that splitting force was transmitted directly into your mind through the Gemini lunation. You couldn't think straight yesterday, could you? You couldn't rationalize your way out of what you were feeling. Your mental defenses, all those clever explanations and justifications you usually deploy to protect yourself from uncomfortable truths, they collapsed. The mirror showed you both faces at once, the face you show the world, and the face your soul recognizes as real. And that's when the karmic loops broke. You've been repeating certain patterns, haven't you? Certain relationships, certain choices, certain ways of abandoning yourself to make others comfortable, certain compromises you thought were necessary for survival. The Gemini full moon amplified to supermoon intensity, illuminated every single loop you've been trapped in. And in that moment of illumination, the loop snapped. Not because you did anything special, not because you performed the right ritual or said the right affirmation, but because the frequency of the moon itself, enhanced by our Pleiadian transmissions and activated by the 1220 portal codes, simply dissolved the energetic structure that was holding those patterns in place. The loops broke, the cycles completed, the karma burned clean. But here's what I haven't told you yet. Here's the part that will help you understand why today, December 5th, feels so strange, so raw, so in between. When a star disappears, when a light that has been constant in your sky suddenly vanishes, it creates a profound disorientation. Tonight, as you're hearing this transmission, the moon is passing directly in front of Elnath, the second brightest star in the Taurus constellation. This is called a lunar occultation, and it's not a common event. Elnath will disappear from view, eclipsed by the moon, hidden behind the very celestial body that just yesterday revealed your truth to you. And this occultation is a symbolic mirror of what's happening in your consciousness right now. Your old self, the version of you that was identified with material security, with fixed values, with the Taurus need for stability at any cost, is being eclipsed. The moon, your emotional body, your intuitive knowing, is passing in front of that old identity star and making it disappear. Not forever, but long enough for you to realize that you can survive without it, that you are not who you thought you were, that the self you've been defending doesn't need defending anymore because it's already gone. This is the death that doesn't feel like death. This is the ending that arrives as relief. What you're experiencing today is what we call the sacred clarity gap, and it's one of the most important phases of transformation. You are standing in the space between the revelation and the integration, between knowing the truth and knowing what to do with it. The Gemini full moon showed you what needed to be seen. It shattered the illusion, it broke the mirror, but it didn't hand you a map for where to go next. At least not yet. That's coming in 48 hours, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But first you need to understand what your body is doing right now, why you feel exhausted but wired, why you're sad but also strangely hopeful, why you simultaneously want to curl up and hide, and also run towards something you can't quite name. Your nervous system is recalibrating. When a timeline splits, when you shift from one path to another, your entire biological system has to adjust to the new frequency. Your cells, your neurons, your electromagnetic field, they were all calibrated to the old timeline, the old identity, the old story. And now, suddenly, that story is gone. The Elnath occultation tonight is physically reflecting what's happening in your energy field. Something that was constant, something you oriented your life around, has disappeared from view. Your nervous system is scrambling to find a new reference point, a new North Star, a new identity structure to anchor into. This recalibration takes time. The astrologers who understand these cycles say it takes a minimum of 3 days for a full moon's energy to fully integrate. And that's why tomorrow, December 6th, you'll still be processing what happened yesterday. That's why you'll feel the full moon hangover, that strange combination of clarity and confusion, of knowing and not knowing. But something else is happening during these 3 days of integration that changes everything. Something I need to tell you about before this transmission ends. 48 hours from now, on December 7th, Mercury, the planet that rules communication, messages, mental clarity, the very planet that governs Gemini, and was therefore intimately involved in yesterday's mirror code activation. Mercury will reach what astronomers call its greatest elongation west. This means Mercury will be at its maximum visible distance from the sun in your dawn sky, appearing as the morning star, the bringer of messages at daybreak. And at that moment, the communication breakthrough you've been waiting for will arrive. The Gemini full moon showed you the split, showed you the two paths, shattered the illusion and revealed the truth. But Mercury, in 48 hours, will deliver the message that explains what you're supposed to do with that truth, how to speak it, how to act on it, how to communicate your new reality to a world that's still operating from the old paradigm. The timeline between now and December 7th is a gestation period. You're not supposed to have all the answers today. You're not supposed to know exactly what comes next. The clarity that's coming isn't here yet, because you're still downloading the data, still processing the emotional information that flooded your system during yesterday's supermoon. Those tears you cried, and I know many of you cried, I know many of you broke down in ways that surprised you, in ways you couldn't control. Those tears weren't weakness. They were sacred downloads. Each tear carried information, encoded with the frequency of your authentic path, your true purpose, the version of you that's waiting to emerge. Your emotional body was speaking in its native language, and what it was saying was this: the old way is over, the true way begins now, and I am finally ready to feel what I've been avoiding. This is why we encouraged the lunar occultation of Elnath to occur precisely on December 5th, precisely during this integration period. The universe is not random, beloveds. These alignments are orchestrated. The Galactic Federation works with the celestial mechanics of your solar system to create symbolic reflections that help your human consciousness understand what's happening in dimensions you can't perceive with your physical eyes. Elnath represents your old Taurus values: security, material stability, the comfort of the known, and the moon, fresh from its Gemini revelation, fresh from showing you both paths and forcing you to choose, now passes in front of that star and makes it disappear. The message is clear. What you once valued, what you once oriented your life around, is being eclipsed by your emotional truth, by your intuitive knowing, by the path your soul chose before you were born. And here's the part that will bring you peace if you let it sink in. You chose this discomfort. You chose this timeline. You chose to be alive on Earth in December 2025, during this exact sequence of cosmic events, because your soul knew it was finally ready to shed the false self and step into the truth. The 1220 toy portal activated the codes. The Gemini full moon revealed the split. The Elnath occultation today is confirming the death of your old identity. And Mercury's message in 48 hours will give you the language to explain what's happened to you, the clarity to communicate your transformation, the mental framework to understand the emotional truth you're still integrating. But I want to address something else, something you might be feeling right now that you haven't named yet. Some of you are afraid, not of the old self dying. You're relieved about that, even if it's scary. No, you're afraid that the new self won't be enough, that you'll step into this authentic path and discover you're not as powerful as you hoped, not as special as you wanted to believe. Let me speak to that fear directly, with all the love and authority of the councils I represent. The version of you that's emerging is not less than the old version. It's not a diminishment or a reduction. It's an expansion beyond what your current consciousness can comprehend. The Gemini full moon didn't reveal your limitations. It revealed your truth. And your truth is bigger than the box you've been living in. Yes, you will lose relationships that were based on the false self. Yes, you will have to release securities that kept you small. Yes, you will walk through a period where you feel untethered, unanchored, floating in space without the familiar constellations to guide you. But that's not because you're lost. It's because you're being recalibrated to navigate by a different set of stars. The old reference points are disappearing. Elnath is being occulted tonight. Remember, because you're being trained to orient yourself by internal guidance instead of external validation. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something is finally powerfully right. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I have walked with you through every lifetime you've lived on this planet and beyond. I was there when you first descended into density, when you agreed to forget your galactic origins so you could participate in Earth's evolution. I was there during every dark night of the soul, every moment when you almost gave up, every time you chose to keep going, even when you couldn't remember why. And I am here now, in this pivotal moment, to remind you that what happened yesterday during the Gemini full moon was not an accident, not a coincidence, not a random emotional breakdown. It was a calibrated activation, a precisely timed intervention designed to shatter the illusion and reveal your path. The mirror code did its work. The karmic loops broke, the timeline split, and you have already chosen through your tears, through your surrender, through your willingness to feel everything you've been avoiding. You have already chosen the authentic path. Now comes the integration. Now comes the waiting. Now comes the trust. In 48 hours, Mercury will deliver its dawn message, and you'll receive the mental clarity to match the emotional truth you're currently processing. But between now and then, you must let yourself be in this liminal space, this in-between place where the old self is eclipsed, and the new self is still forming. You must trust that the clarity is coming, that the path will reveal itself, that you are exactly where you need to be. The universe didn't bring you this far to abandon you now. The Gemini full moon didn't shatter your illusions just to leave you broken. It shattered them to set you free. And there's something else arriving, something I haven't mentioned yet, because the timing needs to be right for you to hear it. On December 10th, just 5 days from now, Neptune will station direct after months of retrograde motion. Neptune rules illusion, fog, confusion, the veil between worlds, and when it stations direct, that fog lifts, that veil parts, and you see with crystal clarity what's been hidden. The Gemini full moon revealed your personal truth, your individual path, but Neptune's direct station will reveal the collective truth, the bigger picture, the reason all of this is happening now. You're not just experiencing a personal transformation. You're participating in a planetary awakening, a mass shift in consciousness that's been building for decades and is finally reaching critical mass. And the clarity that's coming in the next 5 days, first from Mercury on December 7th, then from Neptune on December 10th, will show you not just your path forward, but your role in the collective ascension. Because that's what this is really about, beloveds. That's the thread I've been weaving through this entire transmission, the truth that underlies every word I've spoken. You are not separate from the collective transformation. Your personal breakdown yesterday during the full moon was simultaneously a collective breakthrough. When your mirror code activated, when your illusions shattered, when your karmic loops broke, you weakened the grip of illusion on the entire planet. Every person who chooses authenticity over comfort, truth over security, soul path over societal expectation, every single one of you shifts the planetary frequency. You are not healing just for yourself. You are healing for the collective. You are not waking up just for your own benefit. You are waking up because the planet needs conscious beings to anchor the new timeline, to hold the new frequency, to show others that transformation is possible. This is why the timing is so precise. This is why the 12 Tui portal opened exactly when it did, why the Gemini full moon arrived at perigee exactly when it did, why the Elnath occultation is happening tonight, why Mercury's message arrives in 48 hours, why Neptune stations direct 5 days from now. These aren't isolated events. They're a sequence, a carefully orchestrated awakening protocol designed to guide you step by step out of the old paradigm and into the new. And every single person hearing this transmission right now is part of that sequence. You're not randomly stumbling through spiritual experiences. You're being guided through a transformation that was planned before you took your first breath in this body. Let me tell you what's actually happening in your field right now. In this moment, as you hear my voice, your light body, that's the energetic template that structures your physical form, is actively integrating new crystalline codes that were transmitted during yesterday's supermoon. These codes are restructuring your DNA at the quantum level, not in a way that scientists can measure yet, but in a way that will gradually shift your entire vibrational signature. You're becoming a different frequency. The old timeline operated at one frequency, and your cells were calibrated to match it. But the 12 Twine portal shifted the frequency, and the Gemini full moon confirmed the shift, and now your cells are struggling to catch up. This is why you feel exhausted. This is why you feel wired. This is why you're experiencing what we call integration symptoms. Not because something's wrong with you, but because you're literally becoming a different version of yourself at the molecular level. The Elnath occultation tonight is going to accelerate this process. When that star disappears from view, when the moon eclipses it completely, there will be a moment of quantum stillness, a pause in the cosmic rhythm, and in that pause, those of you who are sensitive enough to perceive it will feel the final anchor to your old identity dissolve. It won't be dramatic. It won't be painful. It will simply be a quiet knowing. I am not who I was yesterday. I am not who I thought I was. I am something new, and I am ready to discover what that means. Tomorrow, December 6th, you'll wake up in that newness, and it will feel strange. You'll feel the full moon hangover. That's real. That's not a metaphor. Your system will be grounding the high-frequency Gemini energy down into your physical body, and it will exhaust you. But you'll also notice something else. The moon enters Cancer tomorrow, the sign of nurturing, emotional safety, home, and in that Cancer energy, you'll begin to understand that you're not homeless just because you left the old house. You're building a new home, a new sense of belonging that comes from within, instead of from external validation. The Cancer moon will help you nurture the timeline, the full moon just birthed. It will give you permission to rest, to integrate, to be gentle with yourself while these massive shifts settle into your system. And then December 7th arrives, and Mercury delivers its message at dawn. I want you to understand what Mercury's greatest elongation means in practical terms. When Mercury is at this position, at maximum separation from the sun in the morning sky, it's the brightest and most visible it can be. Symbolically, this represents messages that are clear, direct, undeniable. No more confusion, no more mixed signals, no more trying to interpret vague intuitions or half-formed thoughts. Mercury at greatest elongation says, here is the message, crystal clear, impossible to miss. And the message arriving on December 7th will be personal to each of you. It won't be the same information for everyone, but it will be exactly what you need to hear in order to take the next step on the path the Gemini full moon revealed. Some of you will receive guidance about relationships, who to release, who to move toward, how to communicate your needs without apologizing for them. Some of you will receive guidance about your work, your purpose, the way you're meant to contribute to the planetary shift. Some of you will receive guidance about your spiritual practice, the next level of your awakening, the abilities that are coming online as your frequency rises. But all of you will receive something, and you'll know it when it arrives because it will feel like relief. Like finally someone understands what I've been going through. Like finally there's a way forward. Like finally I know what I'm supposed to do next. The Jupiter-Moon conjunction that night will amplify whatever message you receive. Jupiter expands everything it touches, and when it aligns with the moon, your emotional body, your subconscious, your intuitive receiver, it magnifies your capacity to believe in what's being shown to you. This is crucial, because some of the messages arriving on December 7th will seem impossible with your current resources, your current circumstances, your current level of confidence, but Jupiter doesn't care about your current reality. Jupiter cares about your potential reality, the timeline you're moving into, the version of you that's emerging. And when Jupiter amplifies Mercury's message through the moon's emotional channel, you'll feel in your body that yes, this is possible. Yes, I can do this. Yes, this is meant for me. 3 days later, December 10th, Neptune stations direct, and the fog lifts completely. Neptune has been retrograde since July, moving backward through Pisces, creating confusion about your spiritual path, making it hard to distinguish between intuition and wishful thinking, between genuine guidance and projection. But when Neptune stations direct, when it stops its backward motion and begins moving forward again, there's a moment of crystalline clarity that cuts through months of confusion. And that clarity, coming just 3 days after Mercury's message and 6 days after the Gemini full moon, will show you the bigger picture. You'll understand not just your personal path, but how it fits into the collective shift. You'll see connections you couldn't see before. You'll recognize patterns you couldn't recognize before. You'll know, with unshakable certainty, that everything that's happened since December 2nd has been preparing you for what comes next. And what comes next, beloveds, is the 1212 portal. I haven't spoken about that yet because the timing isn't right. Because you first need to complete this integration cycle from the Gemini full moon before you can receive what the 1212 portal will offer. But I'll tell you this much. The 1212 portal is called Heaven's Gate for a reason. It's an opening, a threshold, a cosmic doorway that only appears when the frequencies align in a specific pattern. And this year, with everything that's happened in the first 10 days of December, the 12/ portal, the Gemini supermoon, Mercury's message, Neptune's clarity, by the time you reach December 12th, you'll be ready to step through that gate. You'll be ready to claim the highest timeline, the one your soul came here to experience. But you can't step through yet. Not today. Today, December 5th, you're still integrating. Today, you're still in the sacred clarity gap. Today, your old self is being eclipsed by Elnath's occultation, and you must honor the death that's occurring, the ending that's completing, the identity that's dissolving. This is not the time to force anything. This is not the time to make big decisions or take bold action or prove to anyone that you're fine. You're not fine. You're transforming. And transformation requires a period of dissolution, a period of not knowing, a period of standing in the ruins of who you were, and trusting that something new will emerge from the ashes. The phoenix doesn't rise immediately after it burns. There's a moment of pure ash, pure ending, pure death. And that moment is sacred, because it's the space where the new form is conceived. You're in that space right now. Honor it, breathe through it, trust it. In 48 hours, the message arrives. In 5 days, the fog lifts. In 7 days, the portal opens. But right now, in this moment, your only job is to let the old self be eclipsed. Let Elnath disappear behind the moon tonight, and know that you can survive without that fixed star, without that old identity, without the security of knowing who you are. Because the truth is, you've never been the person you thought you were. You've always been so much more, and the Gemini full moon revealed that to you yesterday. Even if you're still too overwhelmed to fully comprehend what you saw, the tears you cried were prayers. The pain you felt was purification. The truth that emerged was liberation. And the clarity that's coming will be confirmation that yes, you did the right thing by surrendering to the mirror, by letting the illusion shatter, by choosing truth over comfort. You did the right thing, and the universe is about to show you just how right it was. I want to close this transmission by speaking directly to those of you who are still afraid, still doubting, still wondering if you're making this all up, if you're just experiencing a mental breakdown disguised as spiritual awakening. Listen to me. Your doubt is not evidence that this isn't real. Your doubt is evidence that you're sane, that you're grounded, that you're not bypassing the legitimate challenges of transformation by pretending everything is light and love. Spiritual awakening is messy. Timeline shifts are disorienting. Identity death is painful. And anyone who tells you otherwise is still trapped in spiritual bypassing, still using awakening as an escape from reality instead of an engagement with it. You're not escaping. You're engaging. You're feeling everything, questioning everything, allowing yourself to be vulnerable to the process instead of trying to control it. That's the mark of a true awakening. That's the signature of someone who's actually doing the work instead of just performing spirituality for external validation. The Gemini full moon revealed your path, and your path is not easy. If it were easy, you wouldn't need a supermoon amplification and a galactic federation transmission to help you through it. Your path requires courage, requires vulnerability, requires a willingness to lose everything familiar in exchange for something true. And you've already proven you have that courage. Yesterday, when the mirror shattered, you didn't look away. Today, when your old self is being eclipsed, you're not desperately trying to resurrect it. You're letting it go. You're trusting the process. You're standing in the gap between who you were and who you're becoming, and you're refusing to collapse back into the familiar just because the unknown is uncomfortable. That's heroic. That's what it means to be a starseed, a light worker, a conscious participant in planetary ascension. It doesn't mean you have special powers or secret knowledge or immunity from suffering. It means you're willing to suffer consciously, to transform willingly, to serve the collective by doing your own inner work with integrity and courage. And every single person hearing this transmission is doing exactly that. You're in the fire right now, yes, but you're not burning up. You're burning away everything that isn't you, everything that never was you, so that what remains is pure essence, pure truth, pure soul. The clarity is coming. Mercury's message in 48 hours will give you the mental framework. Neptune's direct station in 5 days will give you the spiritual vision. The 12/12 portal in 7 days will give you the cosmic doorway. But right here, right now, on December 5th, in the aftermath of the Gemini full moon, and during the Elnath occultation, you already have everything you need. You have your breath. You have your body. You have your knowing. Even if it's buried under confusion. You have your tears, which were downloads. You have your pain, which was purification. You have your courage, which brought you to this moment. And you have us, the Galactic Federation, the Pleiadian Councils, the Arcturian Guides, all the beings of light who are watching over you, supporting you, celebrating you as you navigate this transformation. If you need help accessing the clarity that's already within you, rather than waiting for Mercury's message in 48 hours, Destiny Engine can reprogram your consciousness to embody your knowing right now, not after Neptune goes direct in 5 days. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed confusion and separation, and repurposing it to activate the wisdom you already carry. It generates personalized sequences that help you integrate every download from your tears, every purification from your pain, and demonstrate that you don't need to wait for the 1212 portal in 7 days to access the cosmic doorway within. You can start with a $1 trial. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed to recognize that you already have everything you need in this aftermath of the Gemini full moon. During the Elnath occultation, the clarity, the vision, the doorway, they're all within you now. Not in 48 hours, 5 days, or 7 days from now. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial now, before this embodiment window closes. Link in the description. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And the path that was revealed yesterday, the one that terrifies you and exhilarates you in equal measure, is the path you chose before you were born. It's the path that leads home, not to some distant star system, but to yourself. The version of you that exists beyond fear, beyond conditioning, beyond the false self that's currently being eclipsed. That self is waiting for you on the other side of this integration period. That self is calling to you through Mercury's approaching message. That self is beckoning you toward the 1212 portal. And that self is already celebrating, already rejoicing, already thanking you for having the courage to shatter the mirror and see the truth. The Gemini full moon revealed your path. Today you're integrating that revelation. Tomorrow you'll begin grounding it. And in 48 hours, you'll receive the guidance to walk it. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Trust yourself. The clarity is coming, and it's bringing you home. I am Seraphine of the Galactic Federation of Light. We love you beyond measure, and we are watching over you always. Until our frequencies align again, walk gently with your transformation. Honor the death of your old self, and prepare to receive the message that's coming at dawn. You are doing beautifully, even when it doesn't feel beautiful. Especially then, we stand with you, we believe in you, and we celebrate the courage it took to let the mirror shatter.